Good evening. So we are recording this video in the evening. My name is Botakoz. I'm a creator of a WeChat official account, Qazaqland, So it's my little project to promote culture of Kazakhstan, gastronomy, culture, places to travel, people, stories of people who are connected with Kazakhstan or China somehow. Right now we are in Shanghai. Now it's like 8:40 p.m. And Charlotte, sorry, my very first guest in this project, and I'm really honored because we met here in Shanghai. Like, when did we meet?
I think it was 4 months ago.
4 months ago now. Charlotte in Paris, and I'm still in Shanghai. So today this video will be about Kazakhstan, a little bit about her future travel, cycling travel to Kazakhstan, about experience in China, also about travel across China, and about low tech, and we will talk about her recycling projects. So I hope it will be interesting for you, and it will be in two formats, like a video format. You can watch this video, and another one is in text format. So hope you guys enjoy it. Maybe I will give you stage to you. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Like how would you describe yourself?
Yes, okay. Different angles, I think, but if it has to fit with your podcast or live stream podcast.
Podcast or video. It's just like
the
very first one.
Okay. But yeah, well, first I'm Charlotte, as you said. You pronounce it with the Kazakhstan accent, but I like the Kazakh accent anyway. So, and I used to work 4 years and a half in Shanghai, and half of this length was dedicated to a company that is raising awareness on how to recycle plastic. And this is how I envision my private and professional career into anything related to sustainability. So sustainability, the big word, but now it's for me it's more about low consumption, and so more about degrowth society, society that is not necessarily related to always bigger GDP, and more about well-being and more self-respective consciousness about how to consume. And so this is how I dedicate my sort of life. And since a year and a half or 2 years, actually, I had the project with my boyfriend Arno to do the cycling road that I told you about, Bota. And this cycling trip is actually what will characterize myself for the coming year, because it will take a year, around 11 months, from Kazakhstan, so your country, back to France and Denmark, where I actually belong to, France and Denmark, both countries. And the idea is also to have okay, so where were we? Yes, so basically having this cycling trip and more related to sustainability and low tech. So ideally riding with our bike, and having the possibility to meet different people that are having what we called sustainable, because I use sustainable because I don't have another words now, but sustainable related project or initiatives, professionally or privately. But what I will call sustainable is more respectful of the environment, and having a more low tech and low consumption work-life balance. So that's the main idea, and this is how I will talk about myself now.
The main idea is really good. Like that's the idea that we should strive to like low consumptions. What projects did you do during this? Does it still exist, this company?
Precious Plastic, yes, yeah. Yes, yeah, of course. So we're still located in Shanghai, and I'm working from France now, and the founders are still also very, very, very present. And we also have someone else in the office now in Shanghai. And I think it's going well. It's not. I think it is going well. This month we had 4 workshops with big and small companies both, and a retail company, but also in the fashion industry. And I think it's the good point of these companies actually create awareness inside the company. So with the people we work with, project manager inside the company, because they realize like how do we reuse some certain of plastic, and we do something. And also when we have to create this workshop, how do we reuse certain existing furnitures instead of always buying stuff? So in big companies where it's hard to store stuff, at least they have this idea of let's just try not to purchase, although it's cheap in Shanghai. If you go to Taobao, Tmall, everything is so cheap now, but still, like, how can we reuse? So I think with the project manager we work with, it does have an impact, although it's small scale, but also with the audience we're targeting. Sometimes it's internal, but sometimes the workshops are external in a mall, and people get to understand that they can actually recycle their own plastic. So they sort of say and have the idea of, how can I just refuse the plastic? How can I reuse the plastic by just joining our activities? Just using plastic bags and do something else, or using the plastic bottle caps and to shred them and do something else. So I think all of them sort of start to think a bit differently. So I would say it's a good foundation for education and awareness. Although we don't change a lot of things, we still have the education part that is interesting, I think. So yes, and Echo now is actually leading the Shanghai office, so I can actually introduce to Echo later if you want.
Yeah, cool. Maybe I will also add your information, like official account where people can follow and maybe follow future activities. Mostly those activities are in Shanghai right now, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we belong to a bigger community, Precious Plastic, that all started 10 years ago in the Netherlands, and it's called now One Army. And it's a whole community that is sharing a lot of good practices on how to build the machines, how to recycle the plastic, which one to recycle and which one not to, because it's more easy or because it's more dangerous. And we also help each other to, for example, we have clients that want to do stuff, but they are a bit far. So we just give the name of the client, and we share this information to another Precious Plastic that is in another country, for example. So it's a big community, and I like the idea of everything is about sharing, because it's knowledge sharing actually, and value sharing. So this is what I also think it's important in our society now today.
I believe a lot of people will follow this community, follow accounts, and
Cool.
participate in activities also in future. Cool. Another part is about traveling. So you love traveling. I follow your Instagram, and you go to different places, and you are never tired of discovering new places, no matter what the weather is, even it's cold or even it's hot. And when did you start, and what drives you?
That's a really cool question. I think it's because so with my boyfriend, when we started to cycle around and across China, it was back in we started in Taiwan with a friend back in 2018, and from that moment we realized that actually it's a great tool and medium to ride a horse, to ride a bike instead of like a car or public transport, because you're free, you can do, and you can cycle everywhere. And in car, there are some roads that you cannot take, but also you have to meet more people, you have more time to think, and you have more time to see different things. So you have this, and also you have the idea of your carbon footprint is less important. So we feel better actually, and of course we could do it all the time if we had more time. Most of the time we take the public transport because we don't have time, but otherwise we prefer cycling. And the third point is more about it's also it's actually you live and see new things. You have an adventure, you have a sport adventure, so you feel also some extreme conditions when it's when you're tired because you've cycled a lot of kilometers with big ascents and descents. You have a certain you have hormones that it's being generated, and that makes you also very good. So, you know, at the end, also sometimes it's a bit hard, especially when we cycled in Qinghai or Sichuan. Qinghai in May and Sichuan in November, October, November, where it was really cold and we had -10 and 15 Celsius degrees. It was a bit hard, but we were well equipped. We had good gears and sleeping systems, well, sleeping mats and all of this. So we were lucky enough because it's still expensive. So I think a lot of people cannot afford. So we were lucky. And at the same time, we had so much emotions that we don't have in our current life, that when after 2 or 3 months it's over, we just want to repeat it again, because it's again, it's something you feel like you feel alive, I think, and you just have another rhythm of life, especially when you live in Shanghai, where the rhythm of life is very, very fast. You have a different perspective of life when you're up there in the mountain at 4,000 meters, and you're just, everything that you're living is slower, but and this is also it's a very happy moment and time. So that's why we want to live this during our 11 months of cycling, because I'm sure we will have a different view of the society, and we will meet more people than we can actually if we stay in our daily job here, and also just also feeling grateful because our body can do it now and maybe not later. So it's good to do it now.
Do I understand right, when you cycle to Chengdu, Qinghai,
Yeah.
right from Shanghai, or do you take
No.
other transports?
Yeah, that's the only part where, so when we cycle in Fujian, we took the train, and so this is where we were happy, because when we calculate the carbon footprint, we were on track. But no, in Qinghai and in Sichuan, we took the plane, so we're not quite there. You know, it's a bit hard still, and so I wouldn't say, and I don't want to be a hypocrite to say that everything is low carbon footprint. We're not there at all, but we're trying to. So, and also because when you're living in Shanghai with a local contract, it's hard to find to have, you know, 4 days of where you can take the train. 4 days is already 1/3 of your public holidays. So it's not enough. But on the road, on the cycling, on the Silk Road cycling trip, we will actually take the train and not the plane, hopefully.
Then do you take your gears with yourself to train or to airplane, or you rent somewhere in that place?
Yeah, we take everything with us. We have so the pannier, and in the pannier we put like all the sleeping systems, the food systems, well, the food gears, everything to repair and maintain the bike, and a bit of clothes, but we don't need a lot actually, and that's it. Also, it feels also good actually not to have a lot of things, on you. Well, just the minimum that you need.
How many provinces you already traveled, like in China?
I wish I had the Chinese map so I can see, but so we did Fujian, we did Hainan, we did Sichuan 2 times, Yunnan, in 2 different areas, Qinghai, and Zhejiang, Anhui. And I think that's it. It's already good, I think.
Which city is your favorite in China?
I wouldn't say a city. I would say just this place.
Place, yeah.
I very liked the in the Qinghai, so in the frontier in Qinglian Mountain, Qinglianshan, in between Gansu. So we did Gansu also, in the frontier of Gansu province in Qinghai province, where there was no one, still very rock, a lot of gravel, but a lot of rocks, gravel roads, and there was really no one. On one day we actually crossed maybe 5 cars, not even, and there was so much silence that I never ever had in China ever. It was crazy how much you could just hear the silence. And then we actually met. It was very tough because we were facing the gusts of wind of 50 kilometers per hour, and we were climbing up with the rocks and with the minus 10 degrees Celsius temperature. That it was really tough and extreme conditions. And when we were cycling there, we did only 10 kilometers during 5 hours. That was nothing really. You just calculate on the pace we had, and it was very, 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 very limited. And then we met actually a Tibetan woman that was really nice, because she hosted us in her house, and we could rest and keep warm in the oven. And this is a very low-tech oven that I remember. That was very fascinating. Anna was fascinated by that actually, because all the oven was a very traditional one, where it's the leftovers and excrements of goats and cows that were used to actually burn and do some heat. And that time I was really good, because we felt in security, and we felt warm, and we had good food. And some Buddhist monk came, because that was the Nanti festival. So that was a special day in 1 year, and all the Buddhists come in some Tibetan house, because every Tibetan house, they have their own monastery, very small house dedicated to monastery. Actually, most of the time Tibetan has the biggest room for this the temple, and they are there to celebrate and wish the prosperity of the house. And so we had a very good conversation with those monks, and we spent really good time with them. So that was just very surprising and unexpected acquaintances and encounters. So that was really cool. And that gave us a lot of energy to start the day after.
Do you have pictures from that trip or video?
Yes, I think I have.
I can add in video or in the article somewhere.
Sure. Yeah. It's good memories.
And now you are in Paris. You are going to travel to Kazakhstan, right?
Yes. So the plan was actually to cycle from China to France, but we wanted to be back for personal reasons. So we're gonna take the train in the end of April next year, in 2022, from Paris to Moscow, and from Moscow to Astana. What's the new capital? I forgot.
It's Astana, or like before Astana, now it's Nur Sultan, like official.
Nur Sultan. Okay. So yeah, and to Astana, and then from Astana we will start the ride with our bike.
And from Astana you are taking train also, or somewhere?
No, and then from Astana we cycle all the way back to France and maybe Denmark also. So that's the only time we take the train, just from, because we ideally we could do France. We could cycle from France, since now we are in France. Cycle from France to Astana. But when we planned our biking trip last year, we obviously you plan it by seasons, because you don't want to be too warm, but also you don't want to be in a too cold extreme situation. So the best idea was actually to leave China in end of April, so that when we go and arrive to the mountains in the south of Kazakhstan, or also in Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan in July, it's the best season. If you're up there in the mountains, you're not too cold than if you were actually in I don't know, in October or November. So that's why we want to stick to the plan of seasons and visa reasons also. So that's why we take the train to Kazakhstan to start. We cannot start from China because of the visa. And now you need to quarantine anyway, so we don't want to quarantine in China.
You're not going to south of Kazakhstan for now.
We will go to southeast, yes. Almaty.
From Astana, but as I understood, from Astana you go to Paris cycling.
Yes, but then it's not a straight line. It's a lot of zigzag. Yes.
Oh.
So that's why, and I think it's also nearby the frontier of Kyrgyzstan. So that's why we judge it's actually good to go there.
Well, do you have already like planned the routes where you are going to, how you are going to cycle? Do you know like roughly what are you going to expect?
Yes, we plan, but it's not as well planned as what we usually do when we leave. And we just leave for 2 weeks holidays, where 2 weeks holidays, you need to be very specific on the number of kilometers and the place you stay and you leave. But now it's something that is 11 months, so you cannot be as specific. And also because a lot of things can happen, and also due to the COVID situation, when some frontiers are suddenly closed, you have to also be very flexible on just maybe not going to a country, or just going through another frontier, a border. So we do have a map. We do have every destination in one country to another, but it can change. For example, we didn't want to go to Iran, but maybe it will change. Now it's our French diplomacy government say and recommend not to go, and it's supposed to be red. So it's a red classification is where you shouldn't go, and you cannot actually go if you're a tourist. But maybe it will change. You don't know in 6-7 months. Who knows?
Cool. And in all trips, you go only with your boyfriend, or you can go by yourself? Aren't you afraid of? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. For now, we did most of our trip in China was together, but then I did a lot of by myself or with the other group of friends, some cycling tours. So we were organizing some cycling tours to friends, but it was only 2-3 days. So that's it. But then also in France, I do some cycling tour with some friends, but again, it's only during the weekend. I haven't done. The only time I've done cycling with a friend was actually at the very beginning. We were called the Green Ices, so just looking with the green, so with the sustainable ices, and just interviewing some farmers or anything related to land and fields, and everything related to soil also. We were interviewing them, and we were 3, so with another friend. But other than that, we didn't do something else. And also we think that if you cycle long distance with the friends or people you don't necessarily know well, you have to be cautious, because when it's very cold, when you're super tired, you're someone else. You need to understand yourself pretty well, otherwise it can be a bit dramatic. And you have to have good communication to know how you feel, and this is also very important for your body, to respect how you feel, and not to just to cross the borderline where actually you can completely get crazy or very tired. So that's why we mainly focus on just staying together, but we plan actually on the cycling Silk Road, although it's not the real cycling Silk Road, but we will definitely have our friends for 2 weeks maybe.
And are there any like specific reasons why you choose to go to Kazakhstan through Kazakhstan to Paris?
Because I met you.
But you had this plan before.
Yeah, no, true. No, it's true. We had the plan. It's I don't know. It's some friends, they told me sometimes, and they send some pictures. We try not to look at too many pictures, otherwise it's always the same pictures, and it's sort of I don't know, for me it doesn't make me want to go, because I just would like to discover by myself and be surprised by what I see, just not through a screen but from your own eyes. But so still some people were talking about Kazakhstan and I was attracted. I think that's the main reason.
Cool. And how many days you're gonna be on the road?
Don't know yet, but maybe 11 months. It could be more, because let's say in Kazakhstan we meet really good people and we want to stay in a place, and without cycling for 2 weeks, we'll do it, because we're still very flexible on date, and it depends of course of the visa, but if the visa allow us to stay longer, then we'll stay longer.
Cool. And are you aware of challenges? Because I'm really happy because you are going to travel through Kazakhstan. I haven't done it by myself. I would like to do it also in future maybe. But another thing is it's a little bit challenging because of the roads. Because if you go to south part of Kazakhstan, it's really mounty. It's a little bit hard to cycle, and roads also can be not convenient. And
yeah, of course. And, actually, it's a discussion a bit still, well, not open now, because we purchased the main frame of our bike, and we're going to build the bike by our own. Arno is well at doing that, so he will just mainly lead it, and I will actually be the second hand to help him. But so now we're gonna have a hybrid bike, mainly a gravel road bike with pretty thick tires, so that it allows us to go on gravel, basically on gravel roads. And so we know we've been, so in Qinghai it was 1/3 of our whole trip. It was 850 kilometers with the 9,000 elevation gain. And most of the roads, 1/3 actually, maybe 30-40% were gravel, so rocks and stuff. So now we know with that, yes, we will be slower, but we know it's going to be more challenging than if we were taking the road. But I think that's why we're expecting, because it's also this kind of roads where we can find less urbanization and more countryside place with maybe more people that are less urban, and this is what we want to also meet. But yes, it will still be challenging, of course.
What would you like to discover maybe in Kazakhstan? Are you expecting something from the journey, except seeing new places, maybe meeting people?
I try not to expect too much, but just to be surprised by everything that I see, I observe, and then I feel. But I hope I can meet good practice of life and everything that we do. For example, in your daily life. So just the way you can cook, the way you can actually cut things, or you just farm. The way you consume water and the way you just extract water from everywhere. I think I just want to know more about this, just to know if there are some good, very ancestral or traditional ways of doing things.